All right, folks, showtime.
My mother and I used to live in Washington, D.C. When my mother would go to vote, we would walk right past the Capitol building. Sometimes we would stop for a moment and just look at it. I remember my mother telling me, "Amy, less than 100 years ago, women like your great-grandmother weren't allowed to vote." She also said that Congress, the people that work in the Capitol, helped to pass an amendment to the Constitution that gave women the right to vote. It would be many years before I really understood the importance of that amendment. Our federal government has 3 branches: legislative to make laws, executive to enforce laws, and judicial to decide what the laws mean. The legislative branch is divided into 2 parts, the Senate and the House of Representatives. The Senate and the House of Representatives are known as Congress. Congress does its work in the United States Capitol in Washington, D.C. The Senate holds its meetings in one end of the Capitol, and the House of Representatives hold their meetings in the other end. The 2 groups are considered equal in power. They can both make laws, and both of them must agree on a law before it can be approved. The members of Congress are elected people from each state that do the work of the nation. To be elected to Congress, a person must receive a majority of votes from the people in their state. The people in Congress are our representatives in our federal government. They make the laws that they believe the people of our country want to have. The House of Representatives is a group of 435 elected people who come from all 50 states. The number of representatives each state has is based on the number of people in each state. This is good for states with lots of people in them, because they will have more people in the House of Representatives. California sends 52 representatives because it has the largest population of all the states. North Dakota has only 1 representative because there are so few people living there. The House of Representatives knows how many people there are in each state because of a census or population count. A census is taken every 10 years. People called census takers go all over the country counting every person they can find. The more people a state has, the more representatives it gets in the House of Representatives. That means it has more people voting on issues important to that state. So what does a representative do for the people they represent?
We want to make laws that make life better for those people. So I try to make laws that are good for businesses, that are good for supporting our schools. I also try to work very hard on behalf of our farmers and ranchers.
If you want to be a representative, you must be 25 years old, have been a citizen of the United States for 7 years, and you must live in the state you represent. The Senate is smaller than the House of Representatives. The Senate has only 100 lawmakers. Each state has 2 senators, so each state gets 2 votes in the Senate. The number of senators is not based on population. This is good for small states, because big states have the same number of senators as small states. This means that a small state, like Vermont, has the same representation as a big state like Texas. What does a senator do each day?
The Senate is in session continually throughout the day, and depending on what bill is on the floor, I'm paying attention to that, offering amendments, debating issues before the Senate, and working in committee hearings.
To be a senator, you must be 30 years old, have been a citizen of the United States for 9 years, and live in the state you represent. The founders of our country made the House of Representatives and the Senate different for a reason. They wanted them to act as checks and balances on each other. The founders believed that people in the House of Representatives should be elected for 2 years. That way, the representatives would know the immediate needs and views of the people they represent. The founders decided to have senators elected for 6 years. That way, the senators don't have to worry about being reelected very often. This allows them more time to concentrate on their work in the Senate. The House can act quickly to pass bills that the majority of representatives want to have passed. A bill is a proposed or suggested law. It is easier to get a bill passed in the House because the minority of representatives that disagree with the bill have little chance of changing it. The Senate is designed to work slowly. They discuss each part of a bill in detail and consider how it will affect the nation. In the Senate, the minority can make sure their side on a bill is heard. They can even cause a bill to be changed. The Senate has a duty that the House of Representatives doesn't. The Senate approves the President's choices for judges, ambassadors, and cabinet members. The Senate and the House of Representatives have the same responsibilities to introduce, debate, and vote on bills. A bill is what a law is called before it has been approved. Bills deal with national and foreign issues and programs that help our country. Some bills give money to run our government. The idea for a bill may come from people, groups, companies, state legislatures, and the President. Only a member of Congress can introduce a bill in the Senate or House of Representatives. A bill is introduced by having it read to everyone in the Senate or House of Representatives.
A bill to implement the United States-Chile Free Trade Agreement.
It is then talked about. Some people may agree with it, and others may not. Then it is voted on.
The yeas are 70, the nays are 29.
If it passes, it then goes to the other group of Congress.
A message from the Senate.
Mr. Speaker,
Secretary.
I've been directed by the Senate to inform the House that the Senate has passed S 285.
They read it, talk about it, and then vote on it.
The question is on passage of the bill. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. Opinion of the chair, the ayes have it.
If it passes in both the House of Representatives and the Senate, it goes to the President to be signed into law. Congress works to make life better for our country. They make laws that help our government work and laws that serve the needs of the people. Congress has passed thousands of bills to help make our country work and grow. Congress passed a bill called the Social Security Act in 1935. It made sure older people didn't have to live in poverty. President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed the bill into law.
This Social Security measure gives at least some protection to 50 millions of our citizens.
They passed another bill, the Voting Rights Act of 1965. One law it created says you don't have to pass a reading test in order to vote. Congress has passed bills to make cars safer for passengers. And they passed one bill that said women and men who work the same job must be paid the same money. Congress does its work to improve the quality of our lives and to strengthen our nation. The very first Congress to meet in 1789 did the greatest thing ever done for the people of the United States. They added the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights is a group of amendments to the Constitution. Congress has the right to amend or change the Constitution. Once Congress passes an amendment, it goes to each state for the people to vote on it. If the majority of people in at least 3/4 of the states vote for the amendment, then it becomes part of the Constitution. The Bill of Rights is the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. Some of its rights include the right to say or write what we want, the right to our own religion, the right to a fair trial in court, and the right to tell our government we don't like something they did. Although thousands of amendments have been proposed, only 27 have been successful. I remember one election day, my mother gave me a book on the Constitution. I read about the 19th Amendment and how hard women worked to get the right to vote. So I decided then and there that I would do like my mother and vote in every election. It is said that Congress has the power of the purse strings. This means they control the money used to run the government. They work with the president to make a budget. A budget is a plan on how to spend the money you have. Together they determine what is important to be funded. In order to get money, Congress must pass bills about taxes. Taxes are money the government collects from people and companies in order to keep the government working. These taxes pay for parks, highways, medical care, and even wars. Congress has the power to print and coin money. Money makes it easier for people and businesses to do trade. Congress watches over our trade with other countries. They make sure that goods from other countries are priced fairly. They can create military forces such as the Army and the Navy, and they can declare war. There are many ways that all three branches of government watch over each other. These checks on each other keep the federal government in balance so that no one branch can become too strong. The President checks the authority of Congress by having the power to sign their bills into law or veto their bills. To veto is to reject a bill. Congress can check the authority of the President by overriding the President's veto. To override a veto, 2/3 of Congress must vote to cancel it. The Supreme Court can check the authority of Congress by ruling that a law is unconstitutional because it does not follow the Constitution. Congress can then rewrite the law so it is constitutional. Within Congress, there are checks and balances between the Senate and the House of Representatives. The House of Representatives can impeach or accuse the President of wrongdoing, but it's the Senate that holds the trial to determine guilt or innocence. The authors of the Constitution set up these checks to keep a balance of authority among the branches. Congress makes decisions that affect all of us. That's because Congress is made up of people from each state, all there to represent us. The main purposes of the legislative branch are to create laws, to control the government spending, to create a military, and to collect money through taxes. The legislative branch, with its checks on the other branches, helps to keep a balance of power in our government. This prevents any one branch from becoming too powerful. And that's how it should be, because the founders created the United States government as a government of laws, not of kings and queens. We the people is a good description of Congress, because Congress is the people. The legislative branch is run by representatives from our communities. We choose them to keep the federal government working for us. We rely on Congress to do what is right for our community and our country. My mother told me that my great-grandmother had worked very hard for the right to vote. So my mother never misses an opportunity to vote. And me?
They're calling for you, Miss Green.
I want to work to improve people's lives by being elected to Congress.